politically sensitive cases, there may be pressures to avoid trial to prevent unfavorable publicity. Historical examples illustrate this, such as how Soviet authorities manipulated judicial processes to suppress dissent, using psychiatric diagnoses to imprison critics without fair trials, which highlights the critical importance of an independent judiciary in safeguarding civil liberties. In the United States, courts play a crucial role in safeguarding the Constitution by striking down laws that violate its provisions. This process, known as judicial review, is more developed here than in any other country, reflecting a strong expectation among Americans that the judiciary will uphold their rights and liberties without bias. This means that justices are anticipated to set aside personal beliefs, ensuring that their rulings align strictly with constitutional principles. This function is vital for maintaining the rule of law and democratic governance. Although judicial review is a hallmark of the American legal system, it also exists in other Western democracies, albeit with different scopes and mechanisms. In Switzerland, for instance, the federal tribunal examines whether laws from cantonal state courts conflict with federal law. However, it does not have the authority to challenge laws enacted by the Swiss parliament, highlighting a limited application of judicial review compared to the United States. This illustrates how varying legal traditions shape the function and power of the judiciary globally. In Germany, the Constitutional Court plays a pivotal role in reviewing statutes to ensure their alignment with the Basic Law. This court, located in Karlsruhe, was established in part due to American influence following World War II, introducing the concept of constitutional oversight to Europe. Comprised of 16 judges, 8 elected from each House of Parliament for non-renewable 12-year terms, this court addresses disputes between states, protects civil liberties, and can prohibit extremist political parties, reflecting a proactive approach to upholding democracy. The German Constitutional Court has significant authority to review laws and can declare them unconstitutional, as seen in its ruling against the 1974 abortion bill for conflicting with the Basic Law's strong right-to-life provisions. Unlike the U.S. Supreme Court, which operates under common law principles, the German court's decisions, derived from the more rigid Roman law, may not carry the same broad legal weight. This distinction illustrates how different legal systems influence the impact and authority of judicial decisions in various democracies. While the U.S. Supreme Court has the power to review the constitutionality of federal legislation, this authority is not explicitly outlined in the Constitution. Throughout American history, this doctrine of judicial review has faced substantial challenges. Critics have often questioned whether the court should possess the power to nullify laws enacted by elected representatives. Nonetheless, this power has been firmly established through landmark cases and has become a critical aspect of the checks and balances that underpin the U.S. legal system. In the European legal system, the role of an avocat or Rechtsanwalt significantly differs from that of trial lawyers in the U.S. or the U.K. Unlike American lawyers who actively question witnesses, European lawyers focus on identifying flaws in the opposing arguments, aiming to persuade the jury through logical reasoning and factual discrepancies. This approach underscores a more passive role, where the court takes the initiative to uncover the facts, making the legal profession less dynamic compared to its Anglo-American counterparts. The legal structure of the former Soviet Union has influenced the post-communist Russian legal system, with many personnel trained under the previous regime. Despite a move towards bourgeois concepts like property rights, the legacy of Marxist ideology still shapes Russian law, which historically served the ruling class. A significant change occurred in 1991 with the establishment of a constitutional court, marking a shift toward an independent judiciary that could rule on the constitutionality of presidential and legislative actions. The legal system in the former Soviet Union was fundamentally distinct from those in Western democracies. It was rooted in Marxist principles, asserting that laws existed primarily to serve the ruling class. This meant that laws were designed to protect state property rather than individual rights. In contrast, Western legal systems focus on protecting private property and civil liberties. The establishment of the Constitutional Court in 1991 was pivotal, as it introduced an independent judiciary capable of reviewing the actions of the government, which is a crucial element of a democratic society. This court began ruling on the constitutionality of actions taken by President Yeltsin and the Supreme Soviet, reflecting a significant shift towards rule of law. In the Soviet legal framework, concepts such as state property were paramount, and crimes against it were treated with severe penalties, including execution. Private property was nearly non-existent, as the state owned most resources. Political crimes such as sedition or anti-state activities led to harsh punishments, including exile to Siberia, a stark contrast to the protections afforded to citizens in democratic nations. For example, U.S. citizens can exercise their First Amendment rights without fear of such retribution. This harshness in legal enforcement highlights the authoritarian nature of the Soviet system, where the law was a tool for oppression rather than justice. Despite these oppressive elements, cases without political implications were often handled fairly. Soviet prosecutors had investigative powers similar to those of European judges, collecting evidence and bringing cases to trial. However, defense attorneys played a limited role, primarily advising clients on legal matters without actively contesting evidence. The absence of jury trials meant that judicial outcomes were determined by judges rather than peers, further exemplifying the lack of checks and balances in the Soviet judicial system. Overall, the transition from Soviet law to a more democratic legal system in Russia involves integrating principles that protect individual rights and promote fairness. As Russian law continues to evolve, there is a pressing need to develop a legal framework that prioritizes the rule of law and upholds civil liberties, distinguishing it from its Soviet predecessor. This ongoing transformation reflects the broader quest for democracy and justice in post-communist societies. The doctrine of judicial review, which allows the Supreme Court to determine the constitutionality of laws, has been a topic of contention in American politics. Not every president has embraced this power, leading to tensions between the executive and judicial branches. For instance, strong-willed presidents like Thomas Jefferson, Andrew Jackson, Abraham Lincoln, and Franklin D. Roosevelt frequently clashed with equally assertive judges, illustrating the ongoing struggle for power and authority in the U.S. government. A landmark case in this context is Marbury v. Madison. This case arose in 1803 when President John Adams, a Federalist, appointed William Marbury as a Justice of the Peace just before leaving office. However, the commission necessary for Marbury to assume his position was never delivered by Adams's Secretary of State, John Marshall. When the newly appointed Secretary of State, James Madison, refused to deliver the commission, Marbury took legal action, seeking a writ of mandamus to compel Madison to act. The Supreme Court, led by Chief Justice Marshall, faced a significant dilemma. If the court issued the writ and Madison defied it, the court's authority would be undermined. Conversely, refusing to issue the writ would call into question the legitimacy of judicial appointments made in the final days of the Adams administration. Marshall's resolution was both strategic and judicially groundbreaking. He ruled in favor of Marbury but simultaneously declared that the court lacked the authority to issue the writ under the original jurisdiction claimed. This ruling not only addressed the immediate issue but also established the principle of judicial review, asserting the Supreme Court's authority to declare laws unconstitutional. By doing so, Marshall effectively strengthened the judicial branch, ensuring that it could act as a check on the other branches of government. This foundational case set the stage for the Supreme Court's role in American governance and established a precedent that would resonate through future judicial decisions, reinforcing the importance of the judiciary in upholding the Constitution. In Marbury v. Madison, Chief Justice John Marshall determined that the Supreme Court could not issue a writ of mandamus, as it lacked original jurisdiction, stating that Section 15 of the Judiciary Act of 1789 was unconstitutional. This pivotal ruling infuriated President Thomas Jefferson, who recognized Marshall's skillful maneuvering to assert the court's authority. Jefferson viewed the establishment of judicial review as elitist and undemocratic, setting the stage for a long-standing tension between the branches of government over judicial power. From 1803 to 1857, the Supreme Court refrained from invalidating any acts of Congress, yet this period marked the emergence of the court's role in shaping American law and politics. Battlegrounds. As the judiciary gained power, its rulings often reflected political currents, leading to public debates about the implications of those decisions. Unlike courts in other countries, which may lack the same authority and independence, the U.S. Supreme Court's decisions could trigger significant political ramifications, turning legal issues into political. The Supreme Court's rulings became particularly controversial during Franklin D. Roosevelt's administration, when the court struck down several New Deal laws as unconstitutional. Roosevelt, frustrated by the justices' decisions, derogatorily referred to them as 9 old men, underscoring the strained relationship between the presidency and the judiciary. Similarly, during the Richard Nixon campaign in 1968, Nixon criticized the Warren Court for its liberal decisions, claiming they contributed to rising crime rates and undermined societal safety, illustrating how judicial actions could influence political narratives. The political implications of Supreme Court rulings highlight the court's role beyond mere interpretation of the law. The appointment of a single justice can significantly shift the balance of the court, impacting its decisions on crucial issues. If the court often splits its decisions narrowly, a new justice who aligns with the minority could change a dissenting opinion into a majority ruling, demonstrating how judicial appointments can alter the trajectory of American law and policy. This raises critical questions about the influence of personal beliefs and ideological views on judicial impartiality. Judges, no matter how diligently they strive to remain impartial, are inevitably influenced by their personal beliefs and backgrounds. Historically, most Supreme Court justices have been white, Protestant males from affluent families with roots in the British Isles. Critics argue that this homogeneity leads to a disconnect from the realities faced by marginalized groups, such as the poor or racially oppressed. Conversely, some contend that appointing judges from diverse backgrounds will not guarantee fairness, but could merely replace one bias with another. The judicial perspectives of judges are also shaped by their geographical and social contexts. For instance, Southern judges have historically been more conservative regarding racial issues. However, the primary influences on judicial decisions appear to stem from a justice's political affiliation and their view of the judiciary's role within American governance. Studies show that Democratic justices are more inclined to adopt liberal positions, viewing the Supreme Court as a protector of minority rights and civil liberties, contrasting with the typically more conservative Republican justices. Democratic justices often embrace judicial activism, seeking to enhance federal authority while safeguarding individual rights, especially under the 14th Amendment. In contrast, Republican justices tend to advocate for judicial restraint, supporting state power and often resisting expansive interpretations of the Bill of Rights. Nevertheless, these patterns are not absolute. A notable exception is when President Eisenhower appointed Earl Warren as Chief Justice in 1953, expecting a moderate Republican stance, only to later label it his biggest damned fool mistake. This dynamic underscores the complexity of judicial appointments and their implications for the legal system. The ideological leanings of justices can significantly affect landmark rulings, influencing everything from civil rights to economic regulation. The balance between judicial activism and restraint is vital, as it determines how the law interacts with social justice and individual freedoms. Ultimately, understanding these influences helps contextualize Supreme Court decisions within broader societal and political frameworks, illustrating the interplay of law and ideology in governance. Supreme Court justices cannot escape the influence of evolving public attitudes. Despite this, many justices view their role as upholding essential constitutional principles, regardless of changing societal views. Opinion. Justice Robert H. Jackson famously stated, "One's right to life, liberty, and property, to free speech, a free press, freedom of worship and assembly, and other fundamental rights may not be submitted to vote. They depend upon the outcome of no election." This highlights the court's responsibility to protect individual rights from the whims of public. During the 1936 election, the court faced significant backlash after it invalidated several critical laws aimed at alleviating the Great Depression. This led President Franklin D. Roosevelt to propose controversial legislation that would expand the court to 15 justices and allow sitting justices over 70 to retire with substantial pensions. This court-packing plan failed, as it was perceived as an attack on the judiciary's independence. However, it prompted the court to reevaluate its stance and recognize the necessity for adaptability in its decisions. Most legal scholars agree that the events surrounding the 1936 election and the court-packing controversy led the Supreme Court to exercise greater restraint concerning New Deal legislation. This shift is often encapsulated in the adage, "A switch in time saves 9," implying that the court's willingness to adapt its rulings was essential in preserving its integrity and avoiding a potential expansion that could undermine its authority. This situation illustrates the interplay between public sentiment and judicial philosophy, affecting the court's future decisions. Another factor influencing Supreme Court justices is the opinions of their colleagues. Justices often engage in internal discussions, where they deliberate on various legal principles and precedents. This collegial dynamic can shape individual justices' views and influence the direction of landmark rulings. The practice of considering each other's perspectives fosters a collaborative environment, but it can also lead to groupthink, where dissenting opinions are sidelined in favor of consensus. Understanding these influences is crucial for grasping the complexities of judicial decision-making. Both Chief Justices John Marshall (1801–1835) and Earl Warren (1953–1969) were influential figures in shaping the U.S. legal landscape, adeptly persuading their colleagues to adopt their judicial philosophies. Marshall's tenure established the principle of judicial review through Marbury v. Madison, asserting the court's authority over legislative actions. Similarly, Warren's court was pivotal in expanding civil rights and liberties, demonstrating how a Chief Justice can significantly impact the court's direction and decisions. The U.S. legal system embodies a fundamental conflict. Justices are expected to remain impartial while wielding considerable political power. In the 20th century, this tension has become increasingly pronounced. Earl Warren's court was notably active and controversial, notably impacting civil rights, criminal rights, and legislative reapportionment. The court's rulings not only transformed constitutional law, but also reflected the personal beliefs of the justices, raising concerns about judicial activism versus strict adherence to established laws. Critics of the Warren Court, including 96 Southern members of Congress, argued that the court had overstepped its bounds by overturning the established law of the land. They claimed that the court was implementing its personal political and social philosophy rather than adhering to legal precedents. This tension highlights the ongoing debate about the role of the judiciary. Should it act as an agent of social change or strictly interpret the law? Understanding these perspectives is crucial for grasping the complexities of judicial power in a democracy.